Morning to you all. So today this class is for class 9 tissues. The video which will be uploaded today is for class 9. The chapter is tissue. We have learned about plant tissue. What we have learned about plant tissue? We have learned about the simple tissue, the complex tissue, as well as the conducting tissue. We have learned about parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. We have learned about xylem and phloem, and we have learned about cork, cambium or phloem, as well as we have learned about the epidermis tissue of the plant also, which is acting as a protective. So three different kinds of plant tissue and their subtypes we have learned. Now we will be learning about the animal tissue. Before going to the animal tissue, one more topic I would like to discuss, that is the special tissue in the plants. Now, what are these special tissue? The special tissue in the plants are the lactiferous tissue and the glandular tissue. The lactiferous tissue secretes latex. We all know what is latex. The raw material for the production of rubber is called as latex. And the glandiferous tissue or the glandular tissue or the glandiferous tissue, both we can say, the glandiferous or the glandular tissue. Glandiferous or the glandular tissue secretes the resins, oils, as well as the gums. Now, whenever we are seeing latex, whenever we are talking for latex, latex is the raw material for the processing of the rubber. Then whenever we are talking about resins and gums are having very minute difference. Both are quite looking like same. Both are the byproduct of the plant and they are quite look-alike of each other. Now, apart from that, the natural gums are used for sticking materials. Gums itself is a sticky material and they are generally used for pasting the things. But these resins, they are generally used for varnishing. Varnishing means in the polish industry. In the polish industry for the shining of the material like wood and other metal surfaces. So resins used for the polishing and natural gums are used for pasting the material. And then there is oils. Oils are secreted by the plants such as rose and the citrus flower, citrus fruit or the citrus plant. There the oils are secreted. These natural oils are used for aromatic purposes, therapeutic purposes, and several other of making perfume also, and in several other industries also it is being used. Apart from this is what the special tissue we have learned. So lactiferous or glandular tissue is there. Lactiferous secretes latex and glandular tissue secretes resins, gums and oils. So I said resins and gums are having very minute difference. Resins are generally used or utilized for polishing, whereas natural gums are provided for sticking or pasting the materials. And oils for natural aromatic therapy or as well as making perfumes and in several other industries also. Now, this is what about the special tissue present in the plant. Now we will talk about animal tissue. This is the main part. The animal tissue is having 4 different kinds of tissue: epithelial, muscular, connective and nervous. I repeat, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. There are 4 kinds of tissue in the animal cells or in the animal body it is found. The animal cells nicely combine to form these 4 kinds of tissue. Means in the animal body we can find these 4 kinds of tissue, namely epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and the nervous tissue. Now, today we will see only epithelial tissue. Today we will see only epithelial tissue as it's a very big topic. It's not a small topic to finish it off. So we will see epithelial tissue today. So let us talk about epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue generally cuboidal, flat or columnar in shape. Cuboidal means we all know this kind of shape is known as the cuboidal, like this. This kind of shape is known as the cuboidal shape. It is either cuboidal or flat. Flat means like this or columnar like this. So it is cuboidal, flat or columnar. 3 kinds of shapes are there for the epithelial tissue. Now, where the epithelial tissue is present? It is present in the lungs, in the reproductive organs like in the testis as well as in the ovary, in the mouth of the animal, as well as in the alimentary canal also. And there are several other places like the respiratory tract of the human being also this epithelial tissue is present. If at all we will see in the whole and soul presence of epithelial tissue, we can say it very clearly that epithelial tissue is present all over our body, either in a majority or in minority. Means either in a maximum amount or in a small amount, but it is present all over our body. Now, in epithelial tissue also there is some types. Under epithelial tissue also we know the animal tissue are of 4 types: epithelial, then epithelial, muscular, connective, and nervous. Under this, the first one is epithelial tissue. Under epithelial tissue also there are some points: squamous epithelium, then columnar epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, ciliated epithelium, glandular epithelium. There are 5 types: squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, ciliated epithelium, glandular epithelium. There are 5 parts of the epithelial tissue. So it's a very big topic. It is not a small one. So when we are discussing one by one, so animal tissue distributed into 4 parts. 4 parts. First part is epithelial tissue. Out of the 4 parts, first part is the epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue again distributed into 5 parts. What are those? Squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, and glandular. Now first one is the squamous. The squamous epithelium generally present in the lymph, pharynx, and urinary tubule. I have written here UT. You can write urinary tubule or uriniferous tubule. Both are correct. Lymph, pharynx, or urinary tubule or uriniferous tubule. Apart from this, we have to mention here one point, that squamous epithelium tissue is generally flat. In shape. It is neither too much cuboidal or columnar, but it is generally flat in shape, with nucleus also present in it, so that the cell can divide properly. Now, apart from this, the squamous epithelium is also having 2 parts: simple squamous epithelium and stratified, S-T-R-A-T-I, F-I-E-D, fied. Stratified and simple. So first we will see simple epithelial tissue. The simple squamous epithelial now it becomes simple squamous epithelial tissue. Simple squamous epithelial tissue is generally found in the blood vessels. In the blood vessels it is found. Now, the epithelial tissue, whatever I would like to say here, I would like to mention 2 points on epithelial tissue also here. What? The epithelial tissue is present at the top of our body. And this epithelial tissue is having no connection with the underlying blood vessels, because it is placed upon one platform, and that platform separates the epithelial tissue from the underlying blood vessels. From the underlying blood vessels, this epithelial tissue is separated because of the presence of that basal membrane. It is separating the epithelial tissue from the underlying blood vessels. Now, these epithelial tissues are having linking structure. Linking structure means they are having no intercellular spaces, and they are having good connection amongst each other. Directly they are connected. Means you can say, if this is an epithelial tissue, so they are connected directly like this. I shall show you in a better way, like this, without any intercellular spaces. And these intercellular spaces, since there is no intercellular spaces, but in most of the cells we have found the intercellular spaces do present. But here the intercellular spaces is not there. Why? Because of the presence of the glycoprotein. What is glycoprotein? Glycoprotein is the mixture of carbohydrate as well as protein. Means the presence of carbohydrate and protein makes the wall of the epithelial tissue very much cemented, and there is no intercellular spaces left. I guess it's clear to you. Now, apart from this, we will also learn about, so this is what the epithelial tissue, 2 points I have mentioned: the presence of glycoproteins, and there is no intercellular spaces, and they are completely cut off from the underlying blood vessels. But some of the nervous tissue or nervous cells, neural cells, are present in the epithelial tissue. Apart from this, so this is what about epithelial tissue I have mentioned. Now, this squamous epithelial is also the same. It is also having the glycoproteins, and there is no intercellular spaces between them, making the squamous epithelium very much rigid. In simple squamous epithelium also, and in stratified squamous epithelium also. So simple squamous epithelium generally flat in shape and present in the blood vessels. Now, when we are talking about stratified epithelial tissue, stratified squamous epithelial tissue, it means stratified means layer. Layer means like this: 1, 2, 3, like layer kind of cells. And these are generally found under the skin. The stratified epithelial tissue are generally found under the skin. Now, these stratified epithelium tissue which is found under the skin is having a proper layer. So I guess it's clear to you. Squamous epithelial tissue is distributed into two, stratified and simple. Now we will go to cuboidal. Cuboidal means from the name itself it's clear it is having cube-like shape, like this, cube-like shape. So cuboidal epithelium is also having two parts. Simple cuboidal, stratified cuboidal. Generally, the simple cuboidal is present in the salivary glands, and stratified, the layer of the stratified cuboidal means the layer of the cuboidal cells, that is stratified cuboidal. Stratified means only layer, strata. S-T-R-A-T-A, strata. S-T-R-A-T-A means layer. Stratified means layer. So what happens? This stratified cuboidal epithelium is generally present in the thyroid gland and the kidney. I repeat, the simple cuboidal epithelium is present in the salivary gland, and stratified is generally found in the thyroid and kidney. So let us summarize 2 points from squamous and cuboidal. What is the function of squamous epithelium? The squamous epithelium protects the body from any kind of mechanical injury. What is the function of the cuboidal epithelium? Cuboidal epithelium, since it is present in kidney, thyroid and the salivary gland, so it can secrete, excrete, as well as it can absorb the products. Whatever is absorbed or whatever is needed to produce, whatever is needed to be absorbed, it will absorb, and whatever is needed to produce, it will either secrete it, and whatever is needed to be excluded from the body, it will excrete those products. Now, next is the columnar epithelium. The columnar epithelium is column in shape, like this, column in shape, directly. So this columnar epithelium is column in shape, present in the stomach, intestine and gallbladder. So very nicely we can understand one thing. Since it is present in the stomach, it will try to digest the food and it will try to absorb the digested food. Since it is present in the intestine, it will not allow the intestine to go for a malfunctioning. Malfunction means a bad function from the intestine. It will rather help the intestine to digest the food. If at all it is present in gallbladder, it will help the gallbladder to secrete or to store, not to secrete exactly, to store only, to store the bile juice. Now, next is, apart from this, the columnar tissue also gives support to the other tissue, as well as it protects the delicate organ in our body where it is present. Now, ciliated epithelium tissue. Ciliated epithelium tissue, here what happens? The ciliated means cilia, hair-like structure, like this, hair-like structure. Like this, hair-like structure. Hair-like structure. So ciliated epithelium tissue having been a hair-like structure present in the fallopian tubes as well as the bronchioles. Now, in the fallopian tube, it will push the ova. What is fallopian tube? The part of the female reproductive system. Once the ova is produced, it will push the ova into the ovary. Slowly, it will try to push the ova. Means from the ovary, between the ovary and the uterus, there is one tube-like structure known as fallopian tube. That fallopian tube is also known as oviduct. So once the ovary has produced the ova, this ciliated epithelium present in the ovary and in the fallopian tube will slowly push the ova to reach at the midpoint of the fallopian tube. Now, it is also present in the bronchioles. Since it is hair-like structure, so any kind of allergen or any kind of toxic thing will go inside the lungs, it will try to brush it out. Brush it out means here, what do we mean by brush it out? It will try to clear the passage of the respiratory tract. Any kind of germs, if at all it is entered. Now, I hope it's clear to you. Now, glandular tissue. The glandular epithelium tissue present in gastric glands and pancreatic lobe. Pancreatic lobe or pancreatic lobules. Now, here we need to understand one thing. This glandular epithelial tissue, which is present in the gastric glands and the pancreatic lobules, secretes special kind of cells which allows the pancreas to secrete the hormones and the enzymes, as well as the gastric gland to secrete its own gastric juice. Apart from this, the common function of this glandular epithelium tissue is to secrete the mucus, so that if any kind of germs trying to penetrate the gastric glands and the pancreas will be trapped well by the mucus. So this is what about the animal tissue. I hope you can understand this video. Please go through the video and try to match it with your text.